the Cosplay Central Crown Championship. It is the most prestigious craftsmanship-based cosplay competition in the world currently. Last year I competed, and this year I got to judge. G'day everyone, I'm Kirili Cosplay, and on my channel we talk about all things cosplay, costuming and sewing related, and today I want to share my experience as being a cosplay judge and guest for the competition, the preliminary round in Australia of the Cosplay Central Crown Championships. Last year I entered top, where I was fortunate enough to actually win the Australian round, which meant I got to represent my country in Chicago at C2E2. Check out those videos! And this year I got to be a judgy McJudge. And alongside me was Tikkamasala, who also judged me in Chicago, and also Major Sam Cosplay, who has won the crown overall internationally. So I thought it would be fun for me to share my experience as a judge for this competition, to kind of give you an idea of what's involved with being a judge, but also if you are planning on entering the championships, especially if you're in Australia, I want this to be kind of like a bit of an explanation from behind the scenes. So before we actually get into what happens on the day, I will say that months ago, Kitty, who is the representative from ReedPop, she contacted me and asked if I would like to be a guest and a judge. Of course I said yes. There were some contracts, and then we organised the transport and accommodation, all of that good stuff, and we agreed to what we would be needed to do during the weekend. Because PAX is Australia's only 3-day convention. So there's Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And the competition happens on Sunday. Sunday afternoon is where it all happens. It's kind of like the big bang finale for the convention. And then about a month out of the convention, we get our first job as judges. We get the build books. So everyone who is entering submits a build book. These build books are then assessed by a panel who are not the judges, and they assess purely on how much is done and how complicated they are, and whether or not they're going to be realistically finished for the competition. I think the rules this year said that 70% needed to be completed upon submission. Last year, it was like it needed to be done. So they changed that rule for this year. Once all the acceptance have gone out and we have our finalists, then the build books that have been submitted are then passed on to the judges. This is something that some of you may be thinking is quite unique, because I know in America that doesn't happen, at least not often. And I will say that I love that Australia does this for prejudging for a lot of different competitions that I've been involved in, because of the fact that it allows the judges to go through the build book and analyze what has been completed to date. And any judge worth their weight in gold can have a look at something and realize that something's not done yet, or something needs to go back and fixed. So we will make a little note in relation to what we're seeing, and when we get into the prejudging room, we're going to be looking for that, and we will be asking questions. It also means that we've kind of seen this cosplay, we know what the reference image looks like, we know what you've been crafting, so we're excited to see the details up close. Because let's face it, you don't have much time in the prejudging room. So anything that can help the judges is going to help you. And then it comes to the convention. As I mentioned before, PAX is a 3-day event within Australia, and it is the biggest convention in Australia. There is a lot going on, and it is mostly gaming related. Spoiler, I'm not a gamer. However, it is also a place with so much cosplay. Friday, the judges were let loose, free to do whatever we like, but on Saturday, the day before the competition, we did a panel together. This panel has been run both last year and this year, so I think it's going to be continuous. It is Meet the Judges. This panel is to allow contestants or people who are looking at entering in the future to come and sit and listen to the judges about their experience, what it is that they're looking for, what excites them, where they think cosplay is heading for the future. Everything that could possibly be thrown at them, it can be asked. We will absolutely answer it. I know that I went to this last year and it was super helpful for me to understand what points I had to get across to the judges in the prejudging room. And last year, I had a bit of an idea of how things were going to play out based on their answers. And when I say play out, I mean like me in the room and who's speaking at what point and what they're looking at. So that way I wasn't just like, oh, why is this person looking at that and that person's looking at this? I knew what they were after. It put my mind at ease. And this year we had a few of the contestants come along and listen to us and ask us some questions, which was awesome. And we had a lot more cosplayers who were just there to like hear us. Then it comes time for Sunday, the prejudging. This honestly is the competition, and each contestant only gets 5 minutes. A cosplay that you have been working on for months, you have to boil it down to 5 minutes. Now I really want to stress that although we are judging you in the nicest way possible. We want to get up and close and personal with you because we are so invested in your cosplay as well. We are your champions and we want to cheer for you. The judges will ask as soon as you come in if it's okay to look and touch your costume, because that is the only way that we're going to be able to see all the different layers. If you are someone who really does not like that, please let us know, or just say, would it be possible that only one of you do it at a time because of sensory issues? That is completely understandable and we will respect your wishes. In short, the judges are not mean. We want this to be a good experience for you. So whilst we look over your costume and we take mental notes and also some physical notes sometimes, we will also be asking you about your cosplay and the choices that you made with it. These are going to be formed based on your build book and also what is presented in front of us. For example, if something was in your build book but you're not wearing it or holding it, we want to know why. And the same goes that if you've made choices that are different to your reference image. Championships also allow for our own designs, so it's also really important for us to understand where you're coming from if you were entering with something that you've designed yourself. And it is so important to note that most of the time, all of the judges have been in the same position that you are now. We get it. We understand if you start shaking out of nervousness. I've been in a judging room before where someone has started to cry because they were that nervous, and it's absolutely fine. It is completely understandable that you have a lot of emotions when you've worked on a cosplay for literally months and then you stand in front of strangers and say, judge me. It's both brave and vulnerable, and we commend you. And we also promise that there will be a box of tissues somewhere nearby. Prejudging was intense. It was a couple of hours of very fast-paced judging and then keeping score and talking to each other and trying to get through everyone in a timely manner. We did have a short break for lunch, which was amazing. Remember, there was only 3 judges and there was a lady who came in with a trolley that literally had 3 platters plus an extra plate of like sausage rolls and pies, I think. And us 3 are looking at each other going, how are we going to eat all this? We actually invited our volley tank to come in and like help us eat because we didn't even get through, I think, 1/3 of what was given to us. But I will say that I appreciated that so much because the other 2 days prior, I didn't have lunch. So with lunch and prejudging done, it was then time for the show. So we headed down to the stage where there was a little bit of a run through. The contestants got to try walking on and pose, and the judges were also told in which order that we were going to be announced on and where to go. And before we knew it, we were ushered off stage because the auditorium was getting filled up by many, many people. I remember looking out and the auditorium was filled, both levels. For those who don't know, that doesn't happen very often in Australia for cosplay competitions. I don't think I could see a seat that was spare. There were people that were lined up against the walls and towards the doors because there was literally no seats left. Thank you, Australian cosplay community at PAX. At the end of the presentation, the judges were offered backstage and we headed to our own little secure room where we could do our final deliberation. And as I passed through with the other contestants in the back room, I could feel the nervous energy, and like, I get it. I was there last year. So I may have like given a quick, you were all amazing and you've made it so difficult for us, because it was true. It was true. So Sam, Samir and I all went into our little room, our little cone of silence, and discussed who the awards were going to. At this point, I should disclose that the Australian round is a bit different to the American round. We do not have awards for best needlework, best armor, and best special effects. It is purely winner and runner-up, not even third place. So we asked Kitty, the organizer, if we could give judges awards, because we really felt that there were some amazing entrants that deserved praise who just didn't fit into either best in show or runner-up. She said yes, so we were very happy. So when it was time for us to come back out on stage, each of us announced our judges awards, made it very clear it was judges awards because this was a new thing in the Australian round, just saying. Then Samir announced the runner-up award and gave that trophy to the runner-up, and I had the absolute honour of announcing who the winner was. HenchWench is the new Australian champion, and I am so thrilled. HenchWench has been the Australian champion before, and she is going to blow everyone's minds away in Chicago. She's gonna kill me for like hyping her up this much. I know it, I can feel it. If you are unfamiliar with HenchWench's work, I would suggest that you check it out immediately because frankly, it's beautiful. But I will say that everyone's entry this year was really fantastic to have a look at. Everyone had put their best foot forward, and we were really impressed with the level of cosplays that were being submitted. Honestly, I was so proud of the Australian cosplay community, and I was so excited that people who I competed against last year came back and competed again, because it was lovely to see all of them again, because we bonded last year, and to see how they had, you know, leveled up their game in just a year. I was like, you are terrifying. Excellent. I can't wait to compete against you again. And then it was all over. We had some photographs and we left the auditorium, and I caught a flight back to Perth. The final thing I do want to talk about though before I close off this video is the difference between what the judges see and what the audience sees. When we're in the prejudging room, we as judges know what the audience are going to see, and we know that there are some builds that are going to look incredible from the audience perspective. And I'm not saying that they're not, but when we are faced with a cosplay that has so much delicious detail, so much thought, so much like just fantastic finishing, we can't ignore that. So this is a reminder, when you're in the audience, you are not seeing the full cosplay. That's why I love being a judge, because I get to eat it up close. And that is absolutely no disrespect to those who do amazing big cosplays that the audience adores. As judges, we get it. We know why the audience is going to love a certain cosplay. However, as judges, it's not our job to appease the audience. Our job is to look at the craftsmanship and go, what is the best? And whatever is the best, with the most amount of different skills used correctly and at very high quality, that's going to be your winner. Okay everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that it kind of gave you a little bit of behind the scenes of being a judge for a major competition. I am so truly honored that I got this opportunity. So thank you, Breed Pop. Thank you. I hope that if you are planning to enter the Crown Championships in the future, whether it be in Australia or elsewhere, that you feel like you have a bit of an idea of at least what happens in one of the countries. I know that in terms of the build book and the awards, they are a bit different, but realistically, the time frame, how things run is exactly the same. And to be honest, it's very similar to how most craftsmanship-based competitions operate. Thank you all so much for watching. I'd like to give a special shout out to my amazing patrons, especially the $10 a month tier patrons who are
Justin Ghosty,
Fangirl X, Sam M, Monica, Lulu Rush Cosplay, Miss Twisted, Mithril Teacup, Barbara Lee, Trash Guardian Cosplay, and Mother of Cats Cosplay. Alright everyone, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!